Hello everyone and welcome to another live from the workshop, and today I'll be making what is going to be possibly one of the easiest customs I have ever made, because it is basically just a repaint. Well, I say basically, there has been a few small things for it, but today I'm going to be making the Raston warrior robot from the 5 Doctors. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I can't believe I have never thought of making this before, because I had a load of spare parts on my desk, and I was sat here looking the other day, and I had the spare Shower's Jack body, I had the spare robot's head accessory that comes with the Shower's Jack, and I had some spare Invasion Cyberman hands. And I was looking at the head, and I was thinking, it's a shame that they don't reuse that sculpting to make a Raston warrior robot, because once you smooth off the faceplate, it actually works really well. And then I looked at the Shower's Jack body and I thought, well, you could use that as the body, because they've retooled this body before. They used it on the 3rd Doctor Axon figure. And then I sort of sat here and I realised, well, I've got all the parts that I'm saying that they could retool these parts and use them. Why don't I reuse them to make this? And so that's what I've done. So literally all I've done to start with, obviously I've spray painted up the boots and the head silver. So now all I've got to do basically is repaint it grey. But the other thing that I've done is I have put some Milliput in between the fingers to give the 2-fingered look. Obviously you could use some Sontaran hands if you wanted, because obviously they have the 3 fingers. I don't have any spare, but before I went and bought a spare Sontaran figure, I did trial and look at how they looked, and it didn't look right. They were too sort of armor plated, and they looked a bit too small. Now these hands obviously actually are a little bit too big, but I think once they're repainted, I think they'll look fine. Now obviously the other thing I've had to do, because the arm is a peg hole and the hand is a peg hole, so I have used just the end of a bit of a biro to create a peg that literally just sits in there fairly well. I contemplated gluing the hands, but it was just easier to do it that way. So as I said, yes, I've done that. I have gone over the hands with some Milliput, and then for the head, again, I have just gone around it with Milliput. You can see a little bit of the back there, just to seal it off, so it sort of looks like it's part of the body. And now we get on to really the only bit that's got to be done on this, is the repainting. And so here is my finished Raston warrior robot. So I have to say, this is a custom that not only looks very good, I'm very pleased with how it's come out, and I know I always say that, but I am. But this is one of those customs that is so simple to do. As long as you've got the Shower's Jack body and a spare robot from the same set head. In fact, I was looking at this, actually, you could use, if not the Shower's Jack body, you could quite still easily do this with an Axon figure. I know they are quite easy to get hold of. And the robot head, as I said, you know, I've used a head here that came with the Shower's Jack figure, but you could so easily make this out of Milliput if you don't have one spare. And obviously the only other thing I've had to do as well is the hands. You know, it really is one that is so simple to make in terms of a figure. I do have to wonder, I sort of look at this again, I look at this and think this is one of those figures, I think, why don't they release this? Why don't they do this as a, you know, as a 5 Doctors box set? You could have a, for example, you could have this, you could have a repainted version of the 3rd Doctor with his cloak. And off the top of my head, let's think, you could, well, it could be a perfect opportunity for them to release the Herndl 1st Doctor figure. Or you could just have a release of a standard First Doctor figure. There's plenty of variants out there, not counting making new figures. I know that's a little bit of a cheat when I said release the Herndl figure, but obviously that is something that they did already make a prototype of, so one would assume that the molds still exist out there. I believe the reason it wasn't made in the end was due to uses of Richard Herndl's likeness, I believe. I could be wrong on that front, but I do believe that's the story that I've heard. But yeah, you know, as a B&M set of re-releases and repaints, this could be a great one to do, because it would require very little sort of alterations and sculpting of new parts, and it would certainly be a great figure for people to have. And as I said, you know, even if they never release this, it's such an easy and simple one to make. I would thoroughly recommend having a go at making this, because it really is a lot of fun to make, and it's simple. I think that's the thing. It's a simple enough custom to make, but it does require a little bit of skill to do some of the sculpting. But when I say it requires a little bit of skill, I mean that in a good way, in that it's a great way to sort of start to learn how to sort of sculpt bits and pieces. So yeah, I would certainly recommend making this if you have an Axon or a Shara's Jack and the robot head spare, or you want to try having a go at sculpting the robot head yourself. Do it. It's a brilliant figure. It's a brilliant looking figure. So yes, that is the end of my Life in the Workshop Raston Warrior Robot. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share. It really helps me out a lot. And be sure to check the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation, and you can get involved. There is exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and supporting my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.